Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling higher than a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run or hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in for another video. Today we are out in the garden area. I wanted to kind of do a pre-season but more of a spring garden tour, just kind of take you around, show you my method for doing things and a little bit of some placement on where I've got certain things. It also helps me to know and to reference back to this video on where I've put things, what the names of all the things are, just because it's easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle. And it's great to refer back to and kind of see what's worked, what hasn't worked as we go through. Okay, so here we are in subplot 1. I sectioned my garden off into 4 different subplots so that when I'm writing and going through and doing garden planning, I understand exactly where I'm talking about and I can kind of just map things out that way. So this is subplot 1 here. This is the first bed within subplot 1. Goes all the way down to the middle, and then down there is where subplot 2 begins. On this first bed within subplot 1, I have some onions through here in the beginning. These ones, I honestly don't even know if they're long day or short day. I actually just got them from a local store here. But we have onions, we have cilantro, we also have some basil down there, some nasturtium, as well as all of my garlics that we planted over the winter and into the fall. I do have some random clover that grows in here, and I do like to keep it only because the chickens love clover. So for now, I've just kind of left it and I'll just randomly pick it to give to them. Okay, so if you are new to gardening, something that you're gonna want to begin to understand is companion planting. When I first started gardening, I did not have a clue what that was. Companion planting is when you're putting multiple like species or types of plants together. So say like onions with garlic, you can do the cilantro, the basil as well with that onion and garlic. I also have some nasturtiums that I put in there, and those are not only edible, not only are they beautiful, but they're actually beneficial plants with those companion plants surrounding them. Okay, so again, that was the first bed within here. I do have some brassicas planted within here. Not very many, just because they typically don't do as well when it starts to warm up. So I've only got a few. This is my medicinal herb garden bed here with this arched trellis. And these arched trellises are really great for anything that's vining. Excuse me. For anything that's vining. I do have the wisteria planted on each side of this arch trellis to be able to grow up here and flower, and it's going to be beautiful. But anyhow, the lemon balm is just taking over, absolutely taking over this bed. I may have to section it off because it's kind of crowding out some of this mint.
Just the mint?
Yeah. And then over here, it's also crowding out the stevia or stevia, whichever way you pronounce it. And then we've got some rosemary back here. We have some oregano up at the front with the garlic chives, more mint, and then lavender. So this is kind of my basic herb garden area that I use a lot for cooking. I also have another bed down there in subplot 2 that is my medicinal herb garden. Is where I'm going to be doing the corn. Right now I have, I think it's sunflowers through this area, as well as a few marigolds that I did put in here. Again, the onions at the front. And I did the onions at the front because the corn's going to grow nice and tall. And we do have the southern exposure of the sunlight. So it's going to shine down onto the corn where it will actually cast shade on some of those onions, which will be nice. They won't go to seed as quick. They'll have plenty of time to grow. Okay, so here we have another bed, and here I have done the tomatoes. So I kept them in sections based on what type of tomato that they were. So like this one here, we have the ox heart pink tomatoes. Same thing. This is a, what is that? This is a Rutgers tomato. So these are more of the slicer tomatoes. Some of them are heirloom, some of them are not. So I just place 6 here along the trellis, and if it needs extra support, that enables me to be able to tie it up here so that it doesn't fall over without having to do a tomato cage. The tomato cages, really, I don't really like them. I like them more for cucumbers, so just something to keep in mind. I also did some nasturtiums with sunflowers all throughout the middle of this entire bed. Okay, so on this second trellis, I also have tomatoes, and we did the mortgage lifter as well as more of those Rutgers tomatoes. You'll see some random onions popping up here and there. Those actually were planted last year that have just overwintered, and I just left them in here. So when we dug in these tomatoes and planted them, we did do some bone meal. I did a little bit of blood meal, as well as an egg, a full egg. The boys loved crushing them. You can leave them whole as well, just at the bottom, and that prevents some of the disease, particularly the blossom end rot. Okay, so here on this trellis, this is the third trellis down, we have more tomatoes, and those are the ox heart pink tomatoes, as well as the Matt's cherry tomatoes. So those are the real small, tiny little cherry tomatoes. You'll notice that I did this wood shavings down here on top of the bed. You can use any type of mulch. We actually just got this for super cheap. One of the co-workers that my husband works with, her father-in-law has access to this wood shavings, and a lot of people will use it in like hen houses because there's a lot of hen houses in North Carolina. But anyhow, these wood chips are multi-purpose. They will keep the moisture in. So anytime it rains, the moisture goes down. It creates a barrier that the top will dry out, but then that moisture down in the soil will stay. And by keeping that moisture in, you're actually keeping a lot of the good nutrition and those microbes within your soil. When you're keeping that nutrition within your soil and those microbes, you're actually boosting the nutrition that your plants are going to be having within them, which means that when you go to eat that fruit or vegetable within that soil, you will gain a lot more of that nutrition within each bite that you take. Okay, so these are the tomatillos that I had started. Everything has been from seed so far besides the onions. And down here we have the tomatillos, we have the leeks down there in the middle underneath the trellis, and then we have the celery off to the side, as well as some sunflowers and nasturtium. Okay, so here in this next bed, this will be our bean bed. I do have some kale and nasturtium planted in here, as well as some sunflowers. I will have some pole beans on the trellises on each end. And then in between there, down the entire row, is going to be our bush beans. So I will leave a list of the beans that I used within this bed, only because I did not mark them with a marker when we planted them. But if I can find that list, I will definitely leave that, because again, I really would like it for future reference also. Okay, so in this, the fourth bed here, we have a comfrey. This comfrey I planted before we even finished the house. I had purchased it from Billy over at Permapassure's farm, and he is amazing at all things permaculture. If you have not checked him out, definitely go check him out. We actually talked to him at the Farm Where You Live event, and he is just full of so much wisdom. Anyhow, within this bed we have the comfrey, we have our peppers that we planted, as well as onions, spinach, and some, I believe, nasturtiums, and definitely sunflowers as well. So I planted all different types of peppers. I did a lot of the bell peppers, spicy peppers, and the snacker peppers. Okay, so last bed within subplot 1, we have a ton of onions. I don't know how we're gonna eat all these onions, so if you're local, hit me up. But I did plant a lot of onions, and this is where we have the lettuce that's coming up. You can see down there in the middle, and then down at the end, we definitely have some lettuce as well. But in the beginning, when I plant my seeds, I just pull back this mulch, and then I'll lay my seeds down in there, and I won't cover it back up, only so that we understand where the lettuce is going to be popping in from, so that we don't mistake it for a weed. Okay, so when I do my lettuce, I really like to do a lot of butter crunch lettuces, the thicker. I don't like a lot of the thinners. I don't even really like a lot of the colored lettuces. And I really like to plant an abundance of lettuce, not only for us, but for the chickens. They absolutely love it. If you look on Amazon, I can leave a link. They actually have these little skewer looking things that can hang from a little chain, and you can put an entire head of lettuce on that skewer and then hang it up for your chickens to eat it, and it's amazing. They have so much fun with it. So this bed here, I have quite a bit of weeds coming in here. I wanted to do a ton of sunflowers, and I just kind of sprinkled all the seed down, kind of a like leave it to Jesus bed. So I do have the sunflowers because the chickens love the sunflowers out of here. I wanted to plant an overabundance. Any of the sunflowers that are too close together, I will end up pulling those out and just giving those to the chickens. Okay, so here we are in subplot 2. This is where we tend to do a lot of our, not only the corn and the cauliflower and brassicas like on the other side in subplot 1, but this is where we're going to do a lot of our strawberries, where we do our squashes and pumpkins and melons all throughout this subplot 2 here. So here in subplot 2, we have this first bed, and this is where we're going to be doing, again, more of the corn. I am very much a symmetrical person. So what we do on one side, I would typically do on another, not only for the crop that we're growing, but a lot of times the shape and the structure of these beds. It's just the way that I'm wired. So we do have onions right now. We have lots of weeds. We have some sunflowers, and then eventually the corn will be here as well. Okay, so this is my medicinal herb garden bed here. You can see that the goldenrod is going crazy. I'm going to have to thin that out and get rid of some of those. It's native here, and so I just usually will tend to let it stay here until it becomes an issue, and that's probably not the right thing, but some things that are invasive are actually wanted here, so it just depends on perspective. So there is quite a bit of goldenrod, but we do have things like borage, we have calendula, we have echinacea and chamomile, we have hyssop, we have lamb's ear and sage, as well as some more borage down there. Okay, so I had to fix my hat here because it's getting a little bit windy. I hope the sound's not terrible, but anyhow, continuing on here, we have more brassicas just like the other side. So cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli within this bed here, and continuing down towards the end there with the onions. This bed here, I am going to be planting this today or tomorrow, and this is going to be our pumpkins that we grow in here. Okay, so the pumpkins will end up going in this bed. Last year I had actual like square beds, and I did the honeydews and the cantaloupes within those beds. We restructured everything from the way that it was originally when we put the garden in, just because we're able to do the irrigation better and get more plants in. So we did make some changes. If you're following along and have been here since we started this property, you'll notice that things are a bit different. So multiple reasons for that, but here will be the pumpkins, and we're gonna move the melons into some circular beds that we'll show you here in a bit. Thank you, Moopsie. You're so cute. Nice. I can tell. It's a big difference. Even thicker. That's good. Go. Okay, so this bed here, you'll see some sunflowers in the middle, and then this is where we're doing our winter squashes. So things like the acorn, the butternut squashes, just any of those winter squashes that you would typically have are all going to be within this bed here. Okay, so in this bed here, this is also squashes, but it's going to be your summer squashes. So things like the cocozels, things like the zucchinis, those will all be within this bed all the way down. Go. Okay, so last but not least, on subplot 2, we have the asparagus that's gone nuts, absolutely crazy. It drives my husband crazy. He thinks it looks messy, but it is what it is. This is the second year that we have asparagus, and they say that you can harvest it in the second year. I'm really giving it another third year. We did have some of it, but it really wasn't much. So I want to be able to let that establish more, and you'll see that on here, eventually these little pods will become seeds and they'll turn red. Okay, in these beds, along with the asparagus, we have strawberries. So strawberries definitely need a little bit more moisture. The asparagus will produce a little bit of shade during the summer as well. And then surrounding the strawberries, we have more strawberries in the ground next to our onions. Show some of the... Okay, so here in the middle of the garden area, we have the chickens, which I love to be able to throw our scraps to. And we have the grapes here on these vine trellises that will just grow up. Let me take this one. Yeah, see, once that gets tall enough, we'll be able to reach it up there. And then we also have our carrots here within these beds. And then we also have our sunflower bed that will also be paired with watermelons. Okay, so here we are now in subplot 4. This is more of my perennial garden. So subplot 1 and 2 are a lot more of the annuals besides the herbs that I planted up there. This subplot, along with subplot 4, is definitely my perennial garden. And I have things like irises, I have lamb's ear and strawberries, as well as blackberries and blueberries. So as well as that, we have in this bed here, I have some more asparagus that I planted because I had some extras. And then this year I tossed down just some random sunflower seeds that are sprouting up in different spots. And that is, number 1, I love the beauty of it. And number 2, again, the chickens. To be able to feed that back to them. So mixed in here, you'll see strawberries and some random sunflowers. We have 3 trellises set up for the blackberries. They're actually thornless blackberries, which I love, just because we have plenty of the native species that have the crazy thorns on them. So these ones are nice to be able to pick that don't have it. Okay, so the boys are gonna go get the chickens because they went back on the neighbor's property, and we cannot stand it when they go back there because we've lost 2 chickens that have gone back there. So anyhow, I'm gonna show you within this 3rd subplot. These are the onions that we placed here. We did place some more mulch within here. I need to mix it up. But these are going to flower here. And I am letting them go to flower instead of harvesting them because I want to get the seeds off of them. So some things I will let them sit. Onions typically, a lot of them will take 2 years to be able to flower like this. So we have another bed of the blackberries and blueberries here with strawberries. And then within this bed, look how gorgeous those are. So those are the bearded irises that we planted, and then we have more perennials like hosta. I left the persimmon trees back in the back that just popped up randomly here because they're native to North Carolina. And we also took a bag of the Burpee perennial wildflower mix and we just kind of sprinkled it through here. So you'll see a lot of things that are just popping up. Some things are probably weeds, but because I can't tell everything just yet, I am just kind of leaving everything, and once I navigate what's what, I will go ahead and pick out the weeds. So I also transplanted some of the borage out here that I started from seed just a few days ago. We put it out here, and I just have a ton of stuff that I honestly don't even know what everything is, just because my massage therapist gave us a lot of plants when we moved in, and I haven't even gotten all the names of everything. I just kind of just stuck them in here. So if you see something like that purple, I'll go down there a little bit and you can kind of let me know what each plant is if you're familiar with it. So I did plant some sunflowers in here, but we do have some of the weeds that are coming up. Like this is definitely seems very invasive. I also did plant some calendula, so that's going to be coming up too. So things like that, like I don't know what that is, like just some sort of grass that's ornamental. We do have some goldenrod, a different variety of goldenrod there coming up. I mean, look how gorgeous that is. Oh, it's just so breathtaking. Purple is one of my favorite colors. So like that, I have no clue what that is. That one, no clue. I think that one's the same thing. And then whatever those big leaf plants are there, I have no idea. And then we got some blackberry weeds coming in too. So this here is subplot 4. And we did kind of the same thing. So on this side, I did the sunflowers and the calendulas. And then on the other side of the rocks here, just some random other plants from my massage therapist and some of the bulbs that we got online. But we did do an earth science perennial, pollinator mix on that side. So I'm interested to kind of see the difference between the Burpee and the earth science. So one of the things that can get kind of daunting is when you're purchasing raw land or you just had land that was cleared, is regrowing grass. It has been a struggle within this garden area. We did have the chickens, and you can kind of see where the dirt is here. We had the chickens in here, so that's why there's absolutely barely nothing right there. And we did plant some clover throughout this area, and some of it has taken, some of it has not, especially in the higher traffic areas. So right now it is a weedy disaster, and I honestly just can't wait to get like actual grass in here. So as far as these grow bags, I honestly am not sure what I'm going to be putting in here. If the potatoes are not ready over in the potato patch next to the high tunnel, by the time it's time to do sweet potatoes, I may end up just doing them in there, but I'm not sure. So again, kind of the same thing that I did on the other side within subplot 3. This is subplot 4. We have persimmon that's popped up. We have our blueberries, strawberries within these beds, along with our elderberry trees that we have here. They're more like bushes right now, and I honestly, you wouldn't believe it, like I literally prune those and they're still just going crazy. And the thing with elderberries is that they do run under the ground just like a bramble, and so they do pop up in these random spots, which is great if you want to just like dig them out and then sell them, or you can plant them in other spots throughout your property. What's up, girls? Hi. Hi, Ginger. Hey, girl. Oh my goodness, I know. Okay, so again, same thing with the onions. These ones I actually got from Lowe's last year, and they did not, obviously, do very well. They were not consistent at all. So I just kind of got frustrated and was like, well, I'll just leave them and they'll just be seed next year. So down there at the end, you do have some grass that I have just left because it was really pretty. They say that it's invasive. There's another one popping down right there, but we'll see. Again, I just kind of randomly spread out some sunflower seeds within here, so we'll just have kind of some random pop-ups of that, just to number one, sunflowers, like I said, are great for chickens. They're beautiful, but also they add nitrogen to the soil, so we need that within here, because if you can't tell, we have depleted soil. So any type of like breaking up of those roots that can do within the soil and adding nutrition, I am all for that. So back behind the garden, you'll see that I have my orchard. Before those posts, we're getting ready to put up fencing, but we have apple trees, we have peach trees, and on the other side over there, you can see one of the pears, but I do have 3 pears on that other side. Okay, so here's the other side. Here's the other bed that has the sunflowers. That's also where we're gonna be doing our mix of watermelons and honeydews and cantaloupes within there, which will provide a little bit of shade. And these sunflowers with the wood chips on there will actually help keep in some of the moisture too, which we need because there is no irrigation hooked up to that bed. So that's gonna do it for me today. I'm gonna go help these boys get the chickens from the other side of the fence. This is our garden tour, spring of 2024. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video.
Go inside. No, we're not done. You didn't spread it. We're almost done now. We almost go inside. You not be done when Didn't we do a lot? Look, Mama, shine the light on you. Hi, chickies.